let's go back to, let's pick up with Chapter 2. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, and we try to get through all this stuff. We're watching Chapter 2 of Donald Trump, Tired, Broken Man, returns to Washington, D.C., the triumphant hero, where at this point, he has told us that our only solution to the drug problem in the United States is quick show trials followed by speedy executions of drug dealers, also drug mules, because he can't seem to tell the difference between the two. Let's see. I'm excited. What he says. He's got more plans in this one.
But you have to wait for the governors, in theory. We shouldn't be doing that anymore. If a governor wants to...
Oh, this is, you shouldn't have to wait for the governor to call in the National Guard. The federal government should be able to force soldiers on states. Like, again, where is the states' rights Republicans and all this shit? Yes, Republicans, your favorite father figure is saying that not only does he believe in take the guns first, then have due process, but he wants complete control of the National Guard and the ability to send them in regardless of whether your governor has called for them or not. Totally override states. And by the way, with that power comes a bunch more. That's right. It doesn't stop there. If the president can order in National Guard troops, what kind of troops can't he order in? Why are you guys bitching about Jade Helm and Agenda 21 if you want to hand power to this prick that he could apparently call up an Agenda 21 anytime he wants to?
Have vast numbers of people killed and riots and all of the problems that we have?
We don't have.
We're not going to wait any longer. We're going to pass legislation where we can immediately go in and help those people that are under siege and they have governors that don't know what they're doing.
Also, tepid applause, coke jaw. This is boring. I hate this. There is no fucking way even the most MAGA Republicans are going to sign off on this shit, that the president, no matter who they are, can order troops into the streets of any state against the will of the governor of those states. Are you fucking kidding me? Let me explain this to you. President AOC decides that the law against women having the right to choose, which has been reinstated through law, but the Texans refuse to allow women to express that fully by still running their snitch law or whatever. So AOC decides that she needs to attack that the National Guard needs to be sent in to secure anyone who is against a woman's right to choose. Do you understand what I'm saying? Red Wave 2022. Yeah, Dennis, that's not going to happen.
Under these circumstances, the federal government has the right, really, they have the right to do what they want to do, but
no, they don't. By the way, the word he's looking for is responsibility, but he can't, it's hard to get out of his fucking face. The federal government does not have the right to call up the National Guard against the will of the governor. That's why, that's the Republican system that they supposedly fight for. This sounds like something that someone to the left of Bernie Sanders would insist on. I'm not kidding.
We can't do that. We can't give that. It's a duty for us to...
He said duty.
Use every tool, every authority...
No, not every tool. We're not nuking any cities.
And constitutional power at our disposal...
Yeah, you don't have a constitutional power to do this. Shut the fuck up.
...to defend the citizens of our country. If we have a weak, foolish, and stupid governor...
The federal government can just steamroll... And by the way... Whose opinion is it that they're weak and foolish and stupid? The president's. So if Joe Biden thinks that Greg Abbott or Ron DeSantis are weak, foolish, and stupid, and decide that any aspect of COVID's a great example, decide that that they're not doing enough to protect people, then the president can override their healthcare system or any of their issues in the state, in the world, and they will have to take that no matter what. They will just have to receive those troops doing whatever the fuck they're going to do. And Republicans are cool with this. Is that what I'm hearing? Your Republicans are fine with that. You're all right with the president, the federal government. By the way, not even based on some sort of like the House or the Senate passing some kind of law. The president at his whim can send the National Guard into your state to change the way you act on all fronts.
That is allowing the kind of things that you saw to take place. We have to be able to go in and we have to be able to
make it worse,
clean out the mess, and it has to be cleaned out quickly, strongly, has to go very fast.
And again, what's that? What are you going to do? What do you mean cleanly strong? He's talking about the George Floyd riots. And when he says that it has to be cleaned out quickly, he literally means that they open fire on the crowds. Fucking Kent State. That's what he's calling for. Why is there... I'm seeing water flicking onto my iPad, and I don't know... Do we have a leak because of the rains? That's so weird. Curious.
Just last week, a man tried to stab a sitting member of Congress running for governor of New York, Lee.
Yeah, Lee Zeldin.
Good man.
And please tell me how the DA released that person.
And good person.
He's doing his bullfrogging again.
And under the New York State policies, the attacker was released within hours.
Can I love this. I love this detail. This is I gotta tell you, this is just too sweet for words. I gotta get a cleaner version of this. Let's see. Lee Zeldin. New York's cashless bail law must be appealed. This guy, man arrested for attacking Lee Zeldin, released immediately. Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair is the local district attorney, Sandra Doorley. She inexplicably declined to charge him with a violent felony and seek bail as she would have done in any other case. This isn't about bail reform. This is scandal. Journalists start asking questions. The DA who released that guy for attacking Lee Zeldin is one of Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chairs. She's trying to get him elected, allegedly. Strange plan. Yeah. I'm fascinated. This is amazing. Hold on one second. Let's see. Where's this? Give me 1 second. All right, that's fun. So, hold on. I have something leaking in the ceiling that's running down the ceiling fan and was like flicking flecks of water around. So I had to climb up on my stool and see what the heck that was. I will that'll be a mystery that I have to solve at some point. Right on. So anyways, all right, back to where we were. Hopefully if there's like, you can't see it because of the texture of the thing, but there's actually little spots on my green screen from whatever it was, just like, it's like a weird dripping substance coming from the ceiling fan, which is not good. So I'm going to fix that at some point. This is what happens. I always have to have something to do. Anyways, like it. It's a good way to tell me to reset. Like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Support the show in any way that you can. There you go. Off we go. Indeed.
On cashless bail. And according to a study reported last week in the Wall Street Journal, a majority of murders in Baltimore are committed by suspects who should rightfully be in prison, but are instead roaming free under Democrat rule. Almost all Democrat rule. Amazing, isn't it? The next Congress and the next president should crack down.
Yes, Democrats run all the biggest cities.
On this insanity and crack down very, very hard and very, very quickly. The civil liberties of people, the safety of law-abiding Americans cannot be violated by weak mayors and
I think it might be air conditioner condensation. I agree.
Cowardly governors or people that just don't know what they're doing. Because you'd actually say, look, these are smart people. They don't get there without being intelligent people. They must know. The only other thing you could say is they hate our country. And I don't know. It's hard to believe they hate our country, but a lot of people say they hate our country. It's
the person who wrote this said they hate our country. So I'm just going to say, I don't want to say they hate our country, but it says it here. So I'm going to say.
The only reason they'd allow things like this to happen, because just from a common sense standpoint, how can you allow it to happen? And just look at the statistics, how bad it becomes. Where there are radical and racist prosecutors denying citizens the full protection of the laws.
He means Letitia James' mistreatment of him.
Those officers need to be investigated by the federal government, and their systematic violations of civil rights has to be taken care of. And where there is a true and total breakdown of law and order, where citizens' most basic rights have been violated, then the federal government can and should send the National Guard to restore order and secure the peace without having to wait for the approval of some governor that thinks it's politically incorrect to call them in.
Yes, that's what you hear that correctly. A bunch of Trumpites are applauding the idea that the president of the United States can override states' rights at their whim.
When governors refuse to protect their people, we need to bring in what's necessary anyway. We have to go beyond the governor. Another 60 people were shot. Think of this. It's not even possible.
It is possible.
Were shot in Chicago over the weekend. In Afghanistan, for 18 months, not one of our soldiers was killed.
Well, yeah, because you made a deal with the fucking Taliban.
And they had that number of...
Tell you what, if you want to make a deal with one of the gun-running gangs in Chicago Southwest Side, that all Americans will be out of Chicago in 16 months if they don't kill anybody. I don't know. Good luck.
People shot in Chicago over the weekend. Think of it. And he died, by the way.
They died.
When that many are shot, a lot are going to die.
Jesus Christ.
And this is constant in Chicago.
It's common sense. I have a friend who died of natural causes. Somebody shot him and naturally he died.
And this cannot go on anymore.
Can't go on anymore.
Every other approach has been considered and tried. And they've tried the weak approach. They've been trying it for years and really trying it over the last couple of years. And it's not working. It's time to go
It's not working. It's time to go. Gotta stop it.
Different direction.
Gotta do it.
And only one option remains.
Kill them all. Murdering extrajudicial murders. We need robots patrolling the streets and
The
killing.
next president needs to send the National Guard to the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago until safety can be successfully restored, which can happen very, very quickly. Fifth,
Yes, you hear that right. That is a Republican presidential hopeful arguing for the military patrolling of American streets.
we have
Stay out of trouble.
to take back our streets and public spaces from the homeless, the drug addicted, and the dangerously deranged. What's happened to our cities? Look at San Francisco, such a beautiful city. And
Well, I mean, as long as you walk around the Tenderloin.
today, people don't even look at the beauty. They
They don't even look at it.
just want to try.
They can't. They look up, bonk. They get hit in the head. You have to watch your six at all times. Oh, San Francisco.
And make it to their office.
Oh, what? Hold on. They have to what?
What's happened to our cities? Look at San Francisco, such a beautiful city. And today, people don't even look at the beauty. They just want to try and make it to their office
Yeah, you can't take your eyes off of everybody else because they'll.
or their home. Less than 2 weeks ago, a beloved NASCAR star, great star, Bobby East, was stabbed to death out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. This man showed up out of nowhere
Well, obviously, people come from somewhere.
by a homeless man as he filled up his car. Bobby was filling up his car at a gas station, and this man viciously attacked him in California, killed him. Days earlier, an Olympian in women's volleyball, great player, was attacked by a homeless man as she was walking down the street and brutally hit in the face with a metal club, almost causing her death and very close to causing blindness.
All right. Again, anecdotally picking out crazy homeless people stories and horror stories of these things in general. And by the way, let me see. Hold on. Let's see. There you go. This is the story he's talking about. NASCAR star Bobby East killed in stabbing at California gas station. NASCAR Bobby East was stabbed to death at gas station Westminster this weekend by a homeless man at a California gas station, and his killer is still on the loose. Saturday, authorities said. 37-year-old three-time auto champion was stabbed in the chest Wednesday while fueling up at a station in Westminster, California. Emergency responders tried to keep him alive, but East died at a local trauma center. Local cops are searching for Trent William Millsap, 28, who authorities consider a suspect in the stock car race and stabbing death. I didn't see that coming. Oh, look, he's got a Nazi. He's got a symbol on his throat. Anybody? Hold on. Anybody recognize the symbol on Hyatt criticizes CPAC over stage resembling Nazi symbol and hostility to employees. There it is. See this guy's throat? What are the odds? Huh. The transient known to frequent Westminster, Garden Grove, and Anaheim motels. Pictures released by the department show Millsap covered with tattoos on his head, face, and neck. Considered armed and dangerous, and the motive for the attack is unknown. The U.S. article East won 3 USAC national driving titles. I mean, and again, we're not talking about a dude who has just is just kind of like a mindless transient. This dude's a crook. 37 years ago. Okay, so they're looking for this Trent William Millsap dude. No relation to Ronnie, I don't think. Copy, and then we will hold on. Let's see. NASCAR stabbed alleged killer Trent stabbed. 5 days ago. Whoops. Oh, okay, here we go. California SWAT, they don't even do anything. They just let him go. California SWAT police have shot dead a suspect wanted for the murder of NASCAR star Bobby East. Earlier this week, 37-year-old East was found fatally stabbed at a gas station. Authorities said the suspect in the case is identified as Trent William Millsap. The SWAT team responded by serving a search warrant for the suspect who was in an apartment on the 3300 block of Lincoln Avenue in Anaheim. Breaking homeless man on parole suspected of NASCAR stabbing NASCAR star Bobby East, who's 7 to death, is killed in SWAT raid. During the service of a search warrant, an officer-involved shooting took place. No officers were injured. However, a police canine sustained a single gunshot wound that was non-life-threatening. The dude shot the dog they sent in after him, and then they shot him after he was firing on that guy, along with the members of the Orange County District. Prior to the incident, police say that Millsap was on parole for armed robbery. The suspect had also an outstanding warrant for his arrest for an unrelated parole violation. He was described as armed and dangerous in the police statement. Those guys drove his vehicle around. Victim was found on the ground suffering from a serious stab wound to the chest area. Instead, I would like to remind everyone this guy was out on parole for a violent crime. This is not, we're not talking about like war on drugs, just people being mistreated, just, where they're just busting somebody for carrying.
No civilized society turns over its public spaces to be dominated by drug addicts and the homeless, no matter what the reason may be. If liberals think it's somehow
yeah, they do. They call it refugee camps.
Passionate, let them invite the homeless to camp in their backyards, soil their property, attack their families, and use drugs where their children are trying to play. Let them try it. Let them try it.
Well, they are. That's why Portland's all of Portland's hippies are turning on their DA, and it's why Chesa Boudin got kicked to the curb in San Francisco. But this experiment in like lackadaisical DAs, this asshole's going to seize on it. And the kind of people that are like, we've got too many people incarcerated. America has more people incarcerated than any other country in the world. That's because ours live. That's because ours stay alive and serve their whole term, and we provide them with health care, and we don't let them just wither and die. Other countries do. So don't even start. Secondly, the Chesa Boudins of the world, all they did was throw red meat to this asshole's crowd.
Letting people live in the street of a major city, or anywhere for that matter, with needles, drugs, squalor, is not good for anybody. For the good of everyone involved.
By the way, we know this. It's the solution you're talking about that we have an issue with, which is apparently send in the National Guard to, quote, clean it up quickly. Which I'm curious to hear what the plan is.
The homeless need to go to shelters. The long-term mentally ill need to go to institutions. And the unhoused drug addicts need to go to rehab, or if necessary, an appropriate jail.
Jail. I'm reading this for the first time, too. I mean, a lot of this, I may sound surprised, but a lot of times teleprompters, that's what they do. They surprise me.
Taken over our cities, so many of our cities. It's at a level that nobody can even believe.
Well, yeah, they can. Because we've seen periods like this before in the 90s, in the early 70s. Have you read Helter Skelter? Well, read. But
wherever they go, surrendering our parks and sidewalks to people that in many cases are crazed or sick, it's just not an option. Look, we have a problem. This is a big problem. How do you handle these hundreds of thousands of people getting worse all the time? Hundreds of thousands.
It says so in the teleprompter. Hundreds of
It would
thousands.
take years to build hospitals and housing facilities to take care of them, okay? Let's put that out. I did very well in the real estate business. It takes a long time to build houses
He did very well. He's not doing well now.
and housing, years and years. Right now, they're putting homeless in super luxury hotels, the best hotels in the world,
No, they aren't.
paying more money than they're charging for wealthy people who would have usually stayed there. They get paying more money,
Gibberish.
thousands and thousands of dollars a night.
On hundreds of thousands of thousands of hundreds of thousands. It's not even believable.
And even at that, the owners of the hotels are unhappy because wealthy people aren't staying there anymore. They don't want to stay there.
Yeah, I know. It's just no one's doing that. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
With all of that, they don't want to stay there. I fought very hard and very successfully in stopping tents being built on D.C. public property. Very hard. Every time I drive through the streets of our beautiful D.C. with the most beautiful monuments, everything's so beautiful, and then I'd see a cluster of tents and others, and I'd see it happening, and I'd send people out immediately.
Uh-huh. Secret
Service, by the way, did a phenomenal job. I'd send people out immediately to get rid of those tents before you, when you have 5 or 6 or 8, but when you have hundreds of them and even thousands of them,
even tens of thousands, even millions of them, if there's 2 trillion, I think the number is close to 5 billion people.
Very hard to do it. Comes too late. But coming in today for the first...
Wait a minute. What do you mean you just sent them out to get rid of them? What the fuck does that mean? They're Americans, even if they're mentally ill, even if they're drug addicted. The fuck?
First time since I left Washington, D.C., it is not recognizable what's happened.
Ugh.
What's happened. They have tents with homeless and others all over.
Yeah. Some of the people who are in the tents aren't homeless. They're just they're misplaced campers. They just don't understand the concept of camping.
I think the most beautiful public spaces anywhere in the world. I don't care. I could look at canyons. I could look at oceans. I think the most beautiful public spaces in the world. They don't look beautiful now.
He doesn't look at any of that shit. What do you think this fucker goes hiking?
Who is going to want to come to Washington, D.C. and...
Me. I'm going to be there September 10th for a Sexy Liberal show, and I'm going to be there a couple days earlier, and I might even tour the White House. Fingers crossed. We'll see if that works out. I'm definitely going to meet up with some congressional folks and say hi, whether they want me to or not. I'm just going to go to all the places where they supposedly hang out.
Perhaps even more...
And I'm staying in a tent on K Street. I'm just kidding.
Importantly, when a foreign...
Because they have, it's mostly for homeless people, but others, he said. So I figured, why spend that much on a hotel room?
Leader comes and they have meetings here. It leaves such a bad impression.
They go home and go, why don't they just set fire to them like we do? I don't understand. America is a shitty country. They have to let these people live.
Go home and say, what kind of a country has the United States turned into? And you don't think that gets around? You have to...
It does get around. Wound, get a wound. I get a wound. Yeah, get a wound. Woo, I get a wound.
What I saw today coming in, the streets were dirty. They were littered with papers. Main highway, main roads coming in. The main roads that we all take.
Yeah, we all take them.
They had more...
Newspaper.
Bottles and cigarettes and everything you could...
Bottles and cigarettes. You know, stuff drunk people do.
Imagine. Paper of all kinds.
Paper of all kinds. If you know what I mean. Paper of all kinds. Foreign newspapers. Unopened copies of Swank.
From all places.
Origami. Yeah. Origami cranes.
Places.
Wrapping paper.
Lying along the roads. That's without the tents. And then you look at the tents and the homeless, and you say, what's happening to this great bastion?
This great Bastion of what?
Perhaps some people.
But you can't. It's bastion of something, dum dum. It's not just a bastion. Do you live in a? Sorry, I need to put this on the form. Is it a city or a town? It's kind of a bastion, actually. Really? Yeah, a bastion of what? It's just a bastion. Just as bastions go, it's pretty bastion-y.
People will not like hearing this, but the only way you're going to remove the hundreds of thousands of people,
Oh, fuck me. Here it comes.
and maybe throughout our nation, millions of people we're talking about, and help make our cities clean, safe, and beautiful again, is open up large parcels of inexpensive land in the outer reaches of the cities, bring medical professionals, including doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, drug rehab specialists, build permanent bathrooms and other facilities, make them good, make them hard, but build them fast, and create thousands and thousands of high-quality tents, which can be done in one day.
One day there'll be all these tents. Yeah, golf courses would be a great place for this.
And you have to move people out. Now, some
Just move them out.
people say, oh, that's so horrible. No, what's horrible is what's happening now. Because now they're in tents, but most of them aren't even tents that function.
Then they're not tents, never mind.
But we have to do it because you can put up a tent in one day. It would be 2 years, 3 years, long time if you're going to build housing that would take care of the kind of numbers that we're talking. We're talking about hundreds of thousands and probably millions of people.
Oh my God. And is now a bad time for me to mention Trump tents? Ivanka has put together these designer ones. Obviously, we're not going to waste those on homeless people. So Eric has his own line.
It will be the ambition of these people and all of us to get their life back on track.
Or they have to stay in the homeless camp. And what happens if they leave? What happens if they don't go to the camp?
Leave the tent city and be back into the mainstream of society, which is where they want to be.
What if they just want to leave? What if they leave, you take them there? Is there a wall around the tent city? You see where I'm going? Also, what defines mental illness? Ask Alex Jones if Republicans across this country are comfortable with the idea of a government tent city that you can't leave if they decide that you are mentally ill.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, these are internment camps. That's what he's talking about.
Now, the media will go out and say, oh, Trump wants to build tents. No,
No, I don't think you want to build anything, fucko.
to take care of the people because nothing could be as bad as what's happening to them right now. And at the same time,
Okay, I see. So that's the standard. District 9 vibes, exactly.
I want to save our cities
No, it's not voluntary.
because you're going to have a time when nobody will be here anymore. Nobody
Yeah, it's a fucking FEMA camp. That's exactly right. That's what he's asking for.
will come here. Nobody will come to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, or any of our cities to build
Nobody's going to go to any of them.
millions of units of housing or hold homeless people in luxury hotels, which are costing a fortune for the government, and have no medical or rehab professionals available. There are none available.
Yeah, there are.
Is fruitless, just like setting up a blue ribbon committee stuffed with publicity-seeking socialites. I know them all, and
You mean Ivanka?
dilettantes. I know them all.
Yeah, we know. You're full of shit. They're full of shit. Birds of a feather.
To handle the coyotes, the caravans, the very tough drug dealers and human traffickers is fruitless. They set up blue ribbon committees. Everyone calls, oh, could I be on a blue ribbon committee?
That's what they do. They call up and say, oh, could I be on a blue ribbon committee? Holy shit.
Headed up by Mrs. Vanderbilt. To empower local communities
Not anymore, dummy.
to deal with these challenges, the next Congress should pass a landmark package of public health, public safety, and mental health care reforms.
Oh, you mean undo the Reagan dismantling of mental institution funding?
Cleaner streets are safer streets, and I will be happy to help campaign for any of those bills. And I can tell you, speaking for Kevin and Steve and all of the congressmen and women in the room and the senators in the
Oh, yeah. Speaking on their behalf,
room, of which we have many, I think we'll have
they're all big pro FEMA camp for homeless people.
no trouble getting votes for that, cleaning up our
Yeah, public safety. That's right. Spherical man. Yeah, public safety.
cities and cleaning up our countries and making it safer by a lot. We must restore the age-old right to self-defense. We have to be able to defend ourselves.
Unless you're homeless and drug addicted or mentally ill, in which case you can get scooped up and put in an internment camp. And if you try to defend yourself because you believe you should be able to walk free or whatever, I guess guns in the towers. What's happening? Yeah, this plan will come out in 2 weeks, right?
We've all heard the story of the bodega worker on the night shift in New York who was violently assaulted. Violent.
Yes, but unlike other assaults.
It was on camera, on tape, 3 different directions by a man attempting to steal a bag of potato chips when he stabbed the man in self-defense after being...
First of all, that's not the fucking story at all. A woman came in, was buying food. She had an EBT card. It didn't go through. The guy was like, there's nothing. It was like for $4. He's like, there's no, like, it's not going through. I don't know what to tell you. So she got all mad at him. She's screaming. She went and got her boyfriend who was on parole. He came back. He attacked the bodega guy. Somebody tried to de-escalate it by saying, I'll just pay for it. But it had already escalated at that point. And the dude came around behind the counter and started physically attacking him. The bodega owner's older. He fought back. He had a box cutter that they used to cut the packages that they have open and their supplies and inventory and whatever. And he defended himself with that, and the guy got killed. And then it was temporarily they were going to charge him, and now they're dropping the charges. It's like, come on. This is shit that happens every decade.
Really roughed up and beat up, punched in the face. And the bodega worker was charged with murder. But thankfully, after a lot of pressure, those charges have been dropped. They've been dropped.
Yeah, but like the pressure came from him.
But the message sent by jailing this man was that if you're attacked, you must lie down as an act of sacrifice and let yourself be pummeled and beaten to death to uphold the left's vision.
What? What are you talking about? He didn't get arrested. They were going to they were investigating. They were going to file charges. Then they dropped them.
Of reimagining public safety. Their vision is sick. The federal government needs to aggressively protect the right to self-defense in every jurisdiction where it is now under threat. It has to. If necessary, Congress should pass legislation spurring the Biden administration to act. I don't know how they can say no to it, but they'll find a way. And we should also have concealed carry reciprocity.
Reciprocity. If someone's concealing a gun in the restaurant, everyone gets handed a gun.
Number 7.
What do you mean concealed carry reciprocity?
Federal, state, and local governments should aggressively enforce existing statutes to stop the perverted sexualization of minor children. You have the statutes.
This is going to be their trans stuff.
The society that refuses to protect its children is a
from the likes of Jeffrey Epstein.
society that soon will not be able to protect anybody. This is a hallmark of cultural and social decay against which we should fight back very hard and very soon. We don't have time to wait years to do this. The sickos who are pushing sexual content in kindergartens or providing puberty blockers to young children who have no idea what a puberty blocker is. Neither do I, by the way. Neither do most of the people in the audience as you smile. Let's just say they're not good, are not just engaged in acts of depravity. In many cases, they are breaking the law, and they should be held fully accountable. And by the way, we should not allow men to play in women's sports.
And nobody is. We're talking about trans women and trans girls playing in girls' sports. Again, a standard needs to be established so that there's a period of time, so that natural-born biological advantages come down. But then after that certain point, they should be allowed to compete just like anybody else. He's going to go into the lifting thing and the swimming thing and all that shit again, right? He's just... They don't want me to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it.
So crazy.
Everybody's so bored, I might as well be a bigot. He's getting a standing ovation. The only one so far of the night. I don't know why homeless internment camps didn't get a standing ovation. It's a mystery. I don't know why sending the president being able to sic the National Guard on any state they want without talking to the governor didn't get it. But boy, did this one cover.
See, it just shows you what these political geniuses, I have all these consultants, all these great...
Oh, yeah, and he's going to go, they didn't want me to talk about that, and look at the response I got.
Sir, don't say that. It's very controversial. That's not written down anywhere. I just said, this might be a good time. So, they said, don't do it. And that gets the biggest hand of everything.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
He's going to do the bit now, isn't he?
It's crazy. I tell the story of the great swimmer, female swimmer. Yep. Wonderful woman, beautiful woman. She's been swimming for many years. She wants to break the world record.
He doesn't know her name. He never mentions her name.
And she's at the pool, and she wants to break it by 1/8 of a second. That's like fast. And she's going to do it. She's getting ready, and she looks down. She sees all people she's been competing with for years because they rise to the top. And she looks over here, and she sees people. But then she looks, and they call this, they say this. She sees somebody with a man's body. That's what they do. They call it. I said, you think it's okay to say that? That's actually the expression they're using. They'll change that soon, so I have to do it quickly. I have to say it, because they're going to change that. And you know the guy. He was named Female Athlete of the Year. Did you know that? It's true. He was just named female. We're not dealing with things that are so easy here, Newt. This is a difficult, crazy world. You'd almost say, is the world going crazy? Because 99% of the things I'm saying are common sense. But she looks over and sees her friends down there, and then she looks, and this guy is massive. He's got a wingspan. He's got arms that are 30 feet long. And I always say, and she was seriously injured during the meet because he swam so fast that he gave her major wind burn as he went by her. And
you have to be able to go to some of the hack bits. You know what I mean?
She didn't break the record, but he broke the record that day. You know what the number was? 38 seconds. So she wanted to break it by 1/8 of a second, and he broke it by 38 seconds. Or the weightlifter, I think it was like 200.
Oh, God, he's going to act out the weightlifter now.
118 pounds. I know, that's a lot. I can't lift it. I don't know who can. Any of our ex-Trump people, they're all Trump people.
Yeah, you haven't made any new friends, dummy.
Kevin's saying he can lift it. I don't know about that, Kevin, but that's a lot. 218 pounds, and she got over.
Really? Wait, deadlifting 218 pounds? They lift way more than that.
That weight, and she was going to break it. They put a 1/2 ounce here, half little tiny ring on 11. And her mother and like screaming. She couldn't do it. You got it, darling. Stood for 11 years. Alice. She you got it, darling. I'm stood up, my girl. And her mother and father. She got it. You got it, darling. Proud of my girl. Years. Alice. We could, and I'm so proud of it for 11. And her mother and father. Like this. You got it, darling. I'm my girl. Wait, this guy comes along. And her mother like this. You got it, darling. Stood for 11. You got it. You got it, darling. I'm stood up, my girl. 70 points of the.
Seriously, fuck that dude. Like, we've seen that stupid shit before.
About disinformation. Some people say misinformation. I like disinformation slightly better, but they mean pretty much the same.
No, they don't. Disinformation is active. Misinformation is passive.
They will say something, and you're supposed to believe.
You can disinform someone, and therefore they are misinformed. You can also pass on misinformation yourself and misinform people. It is two different. It's a matter of why and what you're attempting to do.
Believe it. Like Russia.
Yeah, that would be information.
Oh, Trump is an agent of Russia.
No, nobody said you were an agent of Russia. They said you were a useful idiot.
If they kept saying it, I might even start believing it someday. No, what they do is they say this stuff, and it's happening now with the January 6th. They say stuff, and they think you're going to believe it. It is a horrible, horrible thing.
Serious, horrible, serious.
But he said our border is secure. And I actually, the wonders of TiVo, I turned
TiVo.
it back to hear it again because I couldn't believe. And he did say that. He said our borders are secure. Mm-hmm. I believe we'll take in 15 million people, not
any number, just multiply it by 7. That's just for starters.
4 million people. And we have no idea who's coming in, but
no idea.
You know they're emptying their jails.
That's right. They're putting them in catapults and flinging them over the wall like the French in Monty Python's Holy Grail.
They're getting rid. And last week we had 141. Most people don't know there are many more countries than that.
There were 144 in the last speech. Did we lose 3 countries? Russia, what did you do?
But last week, we had 141 countries represented by people that came into our country illegally.
Am I off? Didn't he say 144 at the last speech?
We don't know who they are, where they're from. We know nothing about them. But, they say that I got a lot of things right. They say Trump called it all.
If we don't know where they're from, then how do we know that many countries came in? Never mind. I don't even know why I'm thinking about this shit.
All right. Everything I've said has turned out to be true. Many of these people that are coming in will cause trouble for our country, the likes of which you have no idea, terrorism and other things. They're sending in people into our country that will cause problems for us for decades to come, and problems like perhaps you've never even seen before.
Yeah, so anybody who's a new immigrant, obviously you should look at them cockeyed, and they probably are, going to attack you. They're basically, if they've got an accent, just treat them like you would Timothy McVeigh. If he had an accent.
For that kind of level. When we regain the majority, we need to use the purse strings to prohibit even one dime from being spent to implement Joe Biden's open borders agenda. We have to have it stopped and to force him to deport the illegal aliens that he is now refusing to deport. Now,
asylum seekers, that's different.
He's not going to do that. So
No, he's not.
Do have to wait to a certain extent. The guys can do a fantastic job, and they can stop things from happening.
So good.
But
hold on one second, just real quick. Okay, let's see. Now this is after court order, but it was a 90-day suspension of the rules while they reviewed them anyways. Biden administration has suspended an order that had focused resources for the arrest and deportation of immigrants on those considered a threat to public safety and national security. The action over the weekend followed a ruling this month from a federal judge in Texas. Advocates and experts say the move announced Saturday will only sow fear among immigrant communities. President Joe Biden's order last year was a departure from former President Donald Trump's administration when immigration agencies were given far wider latitude. Yes, the Biden administration wanted to focus on those considered a threat to public safety and national security. Trump thinks that's anybody from anywhere else.
It's going to be very hard for them to change that. They're not going to do it. I think it would be actually easy. I think we'd be doing them a favor politically. We're actually helping them politically if they ever did, but they're not going to do it. So we do have to do a great job
Says the guy who lost.
2024, and I think we will do it. You know, it's interesting, when I campaigned in 2016, the border was a big deal, and I talked about it constantly.
Yeah, you talked about Mexico paying for a wall. That never happened.
And I won.
Yeah, on a lie.
Then in 2020, I couldn't talk about the border. You know why? Because I did such a good job. There was nothing to talk about. I said...
no, because we're in the middle of COVID.
It's true. I said, I can't talk about it.
Why not?
I complained. I said, I did too good a job. I did too good a job. That's like obsolescence. You know, a windshield wiper. For those of you, I used to
Wait, the what?
drive cars. I haven't been driving too many.
Bullshit. Citation needed. Has anybody ever seen this asshole behind the wheel of a car ever?
Lately. But for those of you that complain, you buy a windshield wiper, right? And it lasts for 1 year, and then it doesn't work anymore. You can't see. You got to get another one. They could make the wiper good for 100 years, but they want planned obsolescence. The same thing is happening. The exact same thing is happening.
I see. I didn't realize that the key to the border was windshield wipers. We just have that. Just knocks the immigrants off. Like they're coming over like raindrops. That's the theory. The fuck.
We have to be able to
what? Squeegee them off?
Close up those borders, and we have to be able to send many of the people back.
Yeah, we do. That's why they keep trying to come again and again.
Many of those people have to be sent back, and there are a lot of bad ones, so we have to send them back.
We know.
So I don't know how Kevin is going to handle that. I don't know how the Senate is going to handle that. Steve?
They're gonna handle it by remaining in the minority.
You're going to have to help, and all of the people are going to have to help. But, you know, you still need somebody in the White House, or it's not going to get done. It can't be done. You need help. And I think that help will be forthcoming, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner than people think. Very
Yeah. Asshole, you're not getting reinstated as president. You're not running, and you're not going to win. I think part of him thinks that he doesn't have to announce, because the day he says he'll run, he's the front runner automatically. He doesn't have to run. Like, all the Republicans can run, and then the last second he can just declare, and then he'll be the nominee, because everybody will go, oh shit, and bow and walk away like the fucking trial by stone or some shit.
Republicans should be laying the groundwork for this today, and we need to stand and fight and demand that real border security, strong border security.
Yes, moats, sharks, laser beams.
Be included in the spending bill this September. Now,
that's weird. This September, why can't it be? We need real spending. Hello. Hi, I'm Hal Sparks. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, a place where you can relax and know that this dickhead is not going to be your problem for much longer. And you can enjoy his final flailings as a political gadfly for the near future and not have to worry about it fucking up the rest of your life. Because, quite frankly, you've heard about, like, we've heard the word obsolescence tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Donald Trump. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador agreed to spend $1.5 billion to improve smart border technology during meetings Tuesday with Joe Biden. A move the White House says shows neighborly cooperation succeeding, where Trump administration vows to wall off the border and have Mexico pay for it. Did not. If you'll recall, he said Mexico would pay for it. I know we have some maggots in the chat tonight. You guys just were you just fine with his finger up your ass that whole time? Were you just pretending to believe it? Or were you just happy to be lied to?
You know, I went to Mexico and I said, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers to protect our border. And the president, who I really like, he's a socialist, but that's okay. I like him a lot. He likes me. I like him. Can you believe this? I got along with him great. But he laughed at me when I suggested. I said, no, you have to do it. So then he sent his representative to deal with us. And everybody in the State Department laughed at me. They all said, they're not going to do this. I said, here's what you do. Give me a list of your 10 top things. I said this to all of the people, ICE, Border Patrol, everybody, and the State Department. Give me a list of the top 10 things you need from
bullshit.
Mexico.
This is just made up, by the way. This is not even close to true.
So, and I'll get them all.
No, he didn't.
They said, no way. No.
Right, no way. We didn't.
No way, sir. And there was a woman in the State Department who was really a good woman. She was there 25 years. She dealt with Mexico pretty.
Oh, yeah, woman. I remember her. Mexico woman. Lady with woman, from Mexico. She speaks Mexico. Yeah, her.
Much
you guys know who she is.
Exclusively.
Almost exclusively Mexico woman.
Sir,
25 years as Mexico woman.
Sir, they will never do this. We've been after this for many years, decades. I say, how much you want to bet? They'll do it. And she said, you can't do it. I asked for all of the things, remain in Mexico, little thing, let's remain in Mexico. People think that's easy. It wasn't easy to get.
It was because of COVID. Title 42. That's why it's being overturned. That's why the Supreme Court, with your people on it, overturned it.
But we had all of the different things we needed, and I asked for 28,000 soldiers. And then we had 8 other things which were just equally as
Let's hear them.
Obnoxious to ask for. And I said, so what do you think? She said, you're wasting your time, sir, but that's okay. I'd like to watch. I said, fine. So the head man came in, the
head man
representative of the country came.
Also, the 8 other things. And by the way, he threatened American car manufacturers to get this, apparently.
He asked him for these 10 things, and he was laughing. Of course we wouldn't do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to give you soldiers to protect your border? I said, yeah, you have to do that because they're pouring through Mexico. You have to do that. We want 28,000 soldiers. That's the exact number we need. We will not do that under any circumstance. I said, all right, then I'm going to sign this piece of paper. And on Monday morning, this was a Thursday evening, on Monday morning, there will be tariffs imposed of 25% on every single item sold from Mexico into our country.
Yes, and by Tuesday, Texas will collapse.
And it goes into effect. It goes into effect on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and that means all of the cars, because as you know, over the years, not with me, but over the years, they stole 32% of our automobile business. Think of it. They manufacture 30.
Yeah, those are American cars.
32. They took 32% out of our country. I said, all of those cars, everything that you sell into this country, 25%.
They don't sell them into this country. Our companies sell them in this country and have them made for a cheaper price in Mexico, stupid.
He said, I'd like to come back in 5 minutes. He came back in 5 minutes. President, we would be honored to give you all 10 of those things.
Yeah, gibberish.
And we got all 10.
What? Yeah, name one of the other ones.
We got all.
And by the way, if he's including remain in Mexico, that was Title 42. That was based on a pandemic.
Okay.
So the one thing he's talking about is the 28,000 troops, which, by the way, why they weren't on the southern border, I have no idea, because it was all about the caravans at the time.
We got everything. We
Like,
got 28,000 soldiers free of charge, no cost, and they did a fantastic job. It's one of the ways, this was during the construction of the wall, and it's one of the ways we had the best numbers in recorded history, but Mexico was great. But you have to be able to ask people for things. And the woman at the State Department said, I've never seen anything like it. I cannot believe it. And she was a good woman, but it's
you know, woman lady.
just one of those things.
One of those things, one of those women.
The next Republican president must immediately implement every aspect of the Trump agenda that achieved the most secure border in history, including remain in Mexico, safe third agreements, you know what that is? Asylum restrictions, enhanced rapid deportation initiatives. I got all of these things.
Did you? He doesn't even know what they are.
It's just one of those things. The next Republican president must immediately implement every aspect of the Trump agenda that
By the way, this is written out by Stephen Miller. He has no idea.
achieved the most secure border in history, including remain in Mexico, safe third agreements, you know what that is? Asylum restrictions, enhanced rapid deportation initiatives. I got all of these things. And they gave them up. They gave them up. Newt, can you believe it? Yes, you can. He's saying, yes, I can. They gave them all up. Think of it. Remain in Mexico. In other words, you cannot come into the country. You have to remain in Mexico until we check you out. And if you're not a murderer, a criminal, if there's some reason why you can,
You could get murdered, and you can be victimized by criminals in these in tent cities. Okay, so let's see. This is the what he's talking about is the Safe Third agreement. Exceptions to the Safe Third Country Agreement with Canada. The U.S. and Canada have an agreement preventing people who first enter one country from applying for asylum or refugee status in the other. This means that if you enter the U.S. first and then try to apply for asylum in Canada, you may not be able to. However, there are exceptions to this agreement that may allow you to apply for asylum in Canada even if you came to the U.S. first. For one thing, the agreement now only applies if you are planning on arriving at entry points on the U.S.-Canada land border. It does not apply if you plan on arriving in Canada at air or marine ports. The following questions will determine whether you meet any of the exemptions that will allow you to apply for asylum in Canada at the U.S.-Canada land border, even if you arrived in the. It's the same thing. This is Canada's version, where if you come to the United States and you're trying to get through to Canada, which happens a bunch, are you going to arrive in Canada from land border? No. You qualify under this exception. Yes, you do not qualify under this exception. Check to see if you qualify under any other exception. That's you can't walk across the border. Like, this is the safe third thing. The safe third country. You got to wait in a safe third country. You're leaving Syria, you have to wait in Turkey or something as a safe third country until such time as we can process.
legally, then we take you in. Other than that, you remain in Mexico, back to where you came from, the country that you came from, and that's it. And it was hard to get, but I got it pretty quickly, like in about 10 minutes. And they couldn't believe it. And that's it. And we had a great border, and people weren't pouring in. And now we have people remain in the United States and come back for your trial in 4 years, and nobody ever comes back. Only
Yes, they do, because if they don't, they can never get citizenship.
the really stupid people come back. I think it's about 1% come back. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
You didn't see it. You didn't pay any attention to it at all.
We should pass a law enacting these reforms permanently. They have to be permanent. Under our administration, we built hundreds.
By the way, there's comprehensive immigration reform that handles some element of these. They're much more measured approaches. It's been languishing for years. Republicans continue to filibuster it. It has a lot of these things in it.
Of miles of border wall, hundreds. In fact, we completely finished our original wall.
I love this story. Like, I finished the wall. I didn't. That thing about me not finishing the wall. I finish everything.
Plan completely done. We were so
No, you didn't.
proud of it. Despite 2.5 years of Democrat-inspired lawsuits, I won them all.
Democrat-inspired lawsuits. Yes, inspired by Democrats not wanting you to give land to Mexico. First president to do that in like 100 years.
And then some people came to me, we need more wall. So where do you need it? We need it in other areas. It wasn't originally planned.
Yeah, middle of Idaho.
well, let's go and let's see if we can get it done. And then we had the catastrophe of the election. We had it almost finished. It was a catastrophe, that election, a disgrace to our country.
Oh, terrible.
But 3 weeks would have been done. It
Yeah, 3 weeks. That's all we needed.
would have been.
I mean, the election happened in November. There was more than 3 weeks between then and the inauguration. Now, why? The same thing with Iran. Like, why? If Iran was ready to sign a deal, well, then why wouldn't you continue? Why wouldn't you talk to the administration clearly that wants the Iran deal and they're ready to sign a deal? Like, we got them primed up. You guys just pick up where we left off. You'll have a fantastic deal in 2 weeks.
Completed all of the additional wall. But as you know, they didn't want to build the wall. They didn't want to build the wall. That's when I started to think that maybe they really do want to have these borders open so everybody can invade our country. The border was the best and
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a wall that blows over in the wind, so it's a slat fence. I'll give you that.
safest in U.S. recorded history, and they have turned it into the worst in the history of our country, but probably the worst in the history of the world, and that includes third world countries.
Okay, again, gibberish.
Because no third world country would have millions and millions of people. I don't care how desolate, how poor, they wouldn't have millions and millions of people pouring into their country.
Ask Iran, motherfucker. What do you think happened at the end of the Afghan war? What do you think happened during the entirety of the Afghan war? Ask Pakistan or Uzbekistan or Turkmenistan or any of those fucking places. Millions of people poured out of Afghanistan into those countries. They live on the border of those areas. Ask any major country in Africa. What the fuck are you talking about?
There has never been a border like this in history. What they're doing to this country, they're poisoning our country. They're
Yes, with brown people.
poisoning our country. And remember what I said, we're going to pay a big price over the years to come.
Terrorists. It's all going to be terrorists.
To repair the damage Joe Biden has done, it's also going to be necessary to fund the largest ever increase in the number of new ICE officers. You know how tough they are?
Oh my God, we're going to talk about they go
These are tough.
the nest and they go in there and you think you're tough, but you couldn't go in there and they have knives and these guys go whack-a-doodle.
Patriots. I know some of the people in these rows here, and I can tell you none of you want that job. Not even the governor. Hello, governor. None of you want
Hello, Governor. Have you met woman from the State Department?
that job. They walk into a nest of MS-13.
Gaggle.
MS-13 doesn't like guns as much as knives. They like to hurt people and take a long time to do it. And a gun is too quick. And they took two 16-year-old girls walking home from school, and they cut their skin off.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Just so stupid. Get the fuck out of here.
And they died. They both died. They
Really? Just without their skins?
did it with knives.
Okay, all right. They didn't cut it off with a gun? They didn't have potato peelers?
And the ICE officers will run into a nest of MS-13, the meanest of all gang members, the
The gaggle.
meanest. The Hells Angels are like the nicest people in the world by comparison. They're like really nice. They're high society. And they cut.
I love how he's like referencing being rich and elite right now as if he still belongs to that crowd.
And they cut. And these people will go into a nest and they'll run in and the fists start going and they always win. They're tough and they love our country and they are totally disrespected by foolish Democrats that have no idea. And we've taken thousands.
The fuck? All right, we got to take a break because I'm going to have to go through this in slices because I can only take so much of this bullshit in a row. Like two girls being filleted before they run into a gaggle of MS-13s. Jesus Christ, a nest. These are fucking vampires. Yeah. Yeah, he's seen The Lost Boys too many times.